I'm going to make my message very short, but I'm speaking about 4 women today because today is Mother's Day.
Yes.
And the first lady I'm going to speak about is Hagar.
Yes, sir.
The reason I'm going to speak about Hagar this morning, even though she was from the Islamic tribe,
Yes.
and she was a Muslim, I'm going to tell you about Hagar's life.
All right.
Hagar was a slave, and she was forced to go with an older man than her, but she was submissive.
Okay.
So Hagar was a slave this morning,
Yes, sir.
and she was very submissive to her mistress.
Yes.
She wasn't a Jew; she was an Egyptian. So she from a different tribe, a different place.
Yes.
And what has happened? She didn't have control over her life. Like some women, they don't have control over their situations, and they live in a very submissive, demanding life from other people. And this lady now, she was forced to lie with Abraham. God promised Abraham a son,
Yes, he did.
but the mistress forced her to come and go with Abraham, and she came and had a son named Ishmael. And it shows how much turmoil and pain that this lady went through. It wasn't because of her own fault. I mean, she probably wanted to marry somebody from her own tribe, from her own race, but she was forced. And God gave her a son. God made a promise to Abraham. He said, God don't go back on his word. And Abraham disobeyed God, and Abraham did get a son from Sarah.
Yes.
And when Sarah had a son named Isaac, what happened? There was a lot of jealousy in the camp.
Yes.
And Hagar was treated like an outcast. She was treated very badly. And what happened, because of the pain that she was going through, because of the turmoil as a mother, she couldn't handle that, and she left the camp and she ran away. She ran away with her son because it wasn't her fault she was in this calamity.
Right.
She was just going by being submissive, by being obedient.
Yeah.
And the word of the God said that she ran into the desert.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
She ran. And she ran in the desert. And she was running from her calamities, from her problems.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a woman carried this boy for 9 months. But what happened, an angel of the Lord came.
Yeah.
And he said, Hagar, return back. And Hagar saw an angel, she was submissive, and she did turn back and went back to that place. But God is a God, always stick to his word. When God gives you a prophetic word, when somebody prophesies over your life, you just have to patience. Sarah didn't have any patience. And Hagar, in her situation, even though she wasn't an Israelite, even though she wasn't a Jew, even though she wasn't the woman that God said that Abraham should have the son, but God still stick to his word. And what God did, Hagar and her son moved out, and they went their own way. But what happened with God now, because he promised Abraham the first boy going to bless him, through Ishmael is where that whole Muslim religion came out from.
Amen.
And the reason why these people are so blessed with all this money and all this wealth
Amen.
was the promise that God made to Abraham.
Amen.
Now, if Abraham and Sarah didn't disobey God, Isaac, Israel is a country where they have all that money and all that wealth.
Amen.
But what I'm going to say about Hagar this morning, even though she wasn't a Jew, even though she wasn't like Sarah, who was a real wife, she was submissive.
Amen.
She got a prophetic word from an angel. She was submissive to her mistress. Then she came and she was submissive to God, and she listened. And she cried out as a mother for her son, and God still did work favor with her.
Yes, he did.
She was a woman who went through a lot of travail in her life.
Yes.
It wasn't her fault again, she was in this calamity. She was forced, like how some women, they are forced into a lot of stuff. They come from an abused home, an abused family. Then they meet a man now who thought that they would love them and treat them good. They get into a next abusive relationship. And some women, like, scars, some women, like they don't have the strength or to fight that willpower that coming from those relationships.
My God.
But God somehow, these days, ministering to women and moving them out of these kind of abusive relationship and sending good people towards them.
Lord, thank you.
So this is my first story that sometimes people in situations, it's not because they want to be in situations. Things just happen in their life.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So sometimes, we have to listen to somebody's story
Yeah.
before we pass judgment on somebody.
Amen. Amen.
We're not supposed to label people. A lot of people like to label people. Hear the story first before we label somebody. Hear the story. And we are supposed to encourage people.
Yes, we do.
If we're in an abusive relationship and they don't want to leave their husband, we could pray that God could change their husband.
Yes.
That God could change around their situation.
Yes,
Where
sir.
they can have a miracle in their life. And the second lady, I'm finished with Hagar. This is the first one I'm going to